You guys, we're back and we are digging into the book of Esther. Please join me as we start to break down the historical context. Before I get into everything, I do want to say that I have moved all of the longer form content over to YouTube. So if you want to get a more thorough study, check out my YouTube channel. I'm going to leave the link in my bio. That's where you'll be able to see this slow down a lot more. So let's talk about who wrote this book. We honestly don't know. We don't know who the author is, but we can infer that it's someone who was an eyewitness and someone who was also very familiar with the Persian culture. Who was it written to? Again, another thing we don't know. And the reason we don't know is because the scripture does not tell us. Okay? There's no evidence of the original audience or the original readers. Understanding the setting is super important here. So this book takes place in the city of Susa. Susa is the capital of Persia. It's also a royal city. It takes place during the time when the Jews are under Persian rule from 539 to 331 BC. And the events in this book likely occur between 483 to 473 BC, so over a 10-year span. The Jews during this time were under captivity. They were in captivity under the Persian rule. This is post-Babylonian exile. And so they believe to be about 100 years after. And this is important to note as well that some of the Jews went back to their homeland while others remained. Please go look at the video on YouTube. I will go into much more detail regarding that, okay? Now, why was this book written? Honestly, the book of Esther asks us to trust in God's providence. It is an invitation to look for God's hand, how he works everything out. Okay, it shows God's unfailing preservation of his people. And the author also describes how the Feast of Purim began. And this is also a feast that's still celebrated today by some Jews. And it's an important thing to note. The theology that we see present here, some concepts for us to dig into, this idea of providential intervention or the doctrine of divine providence. Divine providence is essentially the belief in God's sovereign guidance, care, and governance of the universe. Again, go check out the YouTube video. I go into a little bit more detail on this concept as well. And then some really big things to note here. Number one, God is not mentioned once by name throughout the entire book of Esther, yet his work is evident. And then also prayer is never mentioned, but we do see fasting take place, so we can assume that there's prayer. All right, y'all. Stay tuned for Esther chapter 1.